Hello everybody, it's time to start. With the real pleasure, I would like to welcome you on the seminar under the title Where the West Ends, which is organized by Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw. And particularly warmly, I would like to welcome all our speakers who found time and energy to come to Warsaw, even in this grey and cold season. I would like to remind you that this seminar is a part of bigger research project which is called Former West, and this research project was initiated and is organized by BAK, Basis für Aktuelle Kunst in Utrecht, in collaboration with Van Abbe Museum in Eindhoven, Reina Sofia in Madrid, and our museum in Warsaw. The aim of this project is to look closely to the notion, to the changing notion of the West, and in several different contexts, and one is a global context, the other more local, is the changes in Europe, where the division on Eastern and Western Europe is slowly disappearing. But there are many, many other layers, and we all believe that it affects artistic practice, the exhibition strategies, and also the understanding of some important notions like avant-garde, which was the subject of the seminar in Eindhoven only a few days ago, and some of you might probably know and even participated in this seminar. So what we decided to do, we decided to reverse a bit the question of the former West. For us, here in Warsaw, we found it difficult to research the West from inside, as we are the newcomers to the West, let's say like this. So we decided to research the liminal zones of the West. And that's why this question, where the West ends, appear. One can answer that the West ends on the Defilad Square, where we have a huge Soviet building, the big void, and the temporary market, and this is the location of the future Museum of Modern Art. So that's why we decide rather to confront the notion of the West with the post-Soviet condition, both in Russia and in the former Eastern Bloc. So we hope, we are conscious that we are only opening, we can only open this research with this seminar, and I have to confess that we felt that we are stepping into the very pioneering field of research. It was not many references we could rely on. So we expect difficulties, mistakes, misunderstandings, and so on, but we also hope for some discoveries. So that's why I hope to invite you for 2 days fascinating debate. And in the end, I would like to introduce, first of all, 2 persons who made the research and who structured this seminar. Claire Bishop, who is teaching in the City University in New York City, and is on the position of researcher in the Former West project, and Marta Dziewańska, curator of the Museum of Modern Art in Warsaw. So those 2 colleagues prepare our seminar, and they will give the proper introduction to today's sessions. And Boris Groys will have the first paper, but I guess Claire will make an introduction to this. Thanks a lot and welcome.
Does it work? Okay. So, welcome to everybody, and just in a few words before passing the word to Claire and our guests, I wanted to tell you in a few words how did we come to the idea of the research on Russia, and how great it is to see its first result, and how great it is to host you in the museum. As you probably all know, this seminar, Joanna just told it, is inscribed in the Former West, a long-term research project initiated by Maria Hlawajova, that we have a pleasure and a chance to have among us, and other people from the BAK team. And the idea of this project is to point to the ways in which the former East the concept we all have in our post-89 dictionaries, was constructed in the rhetoric of Western democracies after the fall of the Berlin Wall. But in a way, so this project searches to see this new reality in a way, like to criticize this idea as if this revolution, obvious in the geographical, cultural and economical terms, has never affected the West itself. So we want to see what are the effects in the West itself after the fall of the Berlin Wall, and this project wants to also to point out the ways in which the former East is and the former West as well is not about the Eastern dream to become the Western democracy, but it's really about like something else. The whole geography has changed. So the question we wanted to ask by taking the case of today's Russia was to ask whether this post-transitional history really has so defined and determined end. Does it has to finish up with the Western type democracy? Does it have to finish up with the consumerist utopia and the capitalist utopia we see happening in the West? So we wanted to see if democracy was really synonymous to Western, and is the capitalist democratic society is the only alternative to the actually socialist and real existing one. So the most important question was if the transformation was equivalent to the idea of transition to Western model of democracy, or can this democracy, in this totally new perspective, can be thought and reinvented on both Eastern and Western sides. So these very questions are going to be on the table during these two short days. We were like all the research we did and all the people we've met couldn't be hosted here because like the problems are enormous and the questions and the queries are very huge. So we told ourselves that we have to make choices, and this very seminar is only like the presentation where we are in the research, so it's an open project somehow. And from the perspective of our museum, it seemed interesting for us to research on Russia, as we thought that Russia was very visibly an unsubordinated pupil of the Western teacher, and as such it is somehow a border and a limit to Western artistic vocabularies that seem somehow insufficient to describe what is happening up there. And finally, it seemed interesting for us to reflect on Russia, which, despite all the shifts of '89 and '91, has never become a former East somehow. That's what we heard from the Russians, and by this very fact, in a certain way, its example shakes and puts into question the whole logic of the idea of the former West. So we wanted really to find ourselves in this research on the border of the actuality of the question where the West ends and where, like, is the West the only subject of the research? Is it really like the most? So by researching Russia, somehow we believe that the alternative reading of the transformation is possible, and even if made public today, this research remained open for us. And this very seminar, as I said already, is not the presentation of what we've learned together with Claire during our research trips, but it is a very climax of the research itself. That's why, despite of the fact that we are very numerous here, we would like to keep the seminar model of these meetings, and without shifting to the conference model. We want you, all the public, to feel inscribed in the discussion, and that's why there are some guests that came from Russia only to take part in the discussions. So I would like you all to feel invited to join the discussions and determine the outcomes of every session, and because we are also very curious of where, like, what can be an answer on the question where the West ends that we are asking with this project. And to finish, and before passing the word to Claire and to Boris, I would like to, I'm very happy, to say that after all research trips we did within this, in the frame of this preparation of this seminar, I can frankly tell you that apart from the topic and the thrilling attraction of the unknown that we've met during these days, I'm very proud that we managed to gather such a fantastic group of contributors, and I would really like to thank, before thanking personally again and again, that they accepted to join us, and also to Claire that again she accepted to come back to Warsaw and host and chair the seminar with us. Okay, so.
Good. Okay, I'm going to be very brief because there's nothing worse than 9 introductions to something. I think Marta's really said it all. No, there's nothing to add. Only to re-emphasise the informality of this, and that there's a roving microphone, so when you want to chip in, have something to say, ask questions, please use the microphone. Switch your mobile phones off, and so let's begin.